Good morning, everyone. You'll notice that I am not in my office today. I'm actually live and on location from my holiday this week in Phillip Island. I'm really fortunate that my father lives down here part-time, and he has a house that we can access when he's not here. Oh, when he is here. But he's not here this week, and I've come down for a week with the kids. Unfortunately, my husband had to do some really important meetings, so couldn't join us. But the weather here has just been absolutely exceptional. You just can't imagine how stunning it's been for winter. We've been in t-shirts, and you notice I'm in a massive scarf this morning. The mornings are chilly, but it's just been absolutely bliss. So this is the local beach, and the tide's out at the moment. But the kids come down here, they've been swimming. It's just been extraordinary. So we came down here last weekend, so before the lockdown in Melbourne was announced, and I feel really fortunate that we were able to get away before the lockdown occurred. It's been a bit disappointing that a lot of people before midnight on Wednesday decided to get out of Melbourne. The whole purpose of it was to restrict the spread of COVID, but hey, let me not get political. I'm just really fortunate that we were already down here and that we were allowed to, as per government guidelines, complete our holiday. So we will be coming back on the weekend. So I feel just really relaxed down here. I haven't spent as much time down here before. We normally come down for a couple of days. So it's just been, hi Carolyn, you're so dedicated. So, you know, when I have this on our doorstep and we've been exploring lots of different beaches, it's just been absolutely sublime. The other great thing that I've been appreciating is that my dad's house is your classic 60s, a beach house. It's a holiday house. And what I love is, when he got it, it was left exactly as they left it. They left all the crockery, they left all the furniture, and it's just like stepping back in time. The 60s artwork, which I have to say is not to my liking, even though I'm a massive fan of the 60s, but all the crockery, the pottery, the glasses. I have added some decent wine glasses to the collection, I have to say, but it is just lovely. All the pine lining in the cathedral style ceilings, the parquetry floors, awesome timber kitchen, really good size. And it's just like, it's actually really refreshing to leave, a new home. I realise how fortunate we are, and just sort of to hang loose and hang out in a house that you don't have to be so precious with. And I love that. I find it a little bit disappointing, or it's a little bit sad, I think, when these awesome houses are then go to another generation and they paint everything white, and that has been quite contentious on some of the groups I've been following on Facebook this week. All the timber paneling and so forth. It's like a holiday house is just meant to be chilled out and a little bit different to what you used to. So I don't want it to be renovated and pristine and new and styled. I just want it to be the way it is. I find it just so refreshing, and that's part of what a holiday is about, is to just get away and have something different. So I'm really grateful for that. Look, there would be things I'd do a little bit different if it was mine. I wouldn't change the furniture and the deco cane sofa and all that sort of stuff. There's a few things that I'd tweak because it's sort of just dumped there, but all in all, I just think it's absolutely wonderful. So that leads me to something I wasn't actually going to talk about, but I will, and it's come up a couple of times, and I think I mentioned it last week. Should we just look at the view again? So I can hear the birds and everything else. So there was a post, this probably would have been a 20s house, and it had oak paneling, solid oak paneling, probably 3/4 up the wall in every room, and it looked absolutely magnificent, and it was all original. And sure, the furniture was old-fashioned and so forth, and the lady was saying, what colour should I paint the paneling? I'm like, please, whatever you do not paint the paneling. It is absolutely spectacular. You will never be able to go back, and there's so few houses left with original timber architraves, window frames, and as for oak panelling, I mean, you just don't come by that very often. And I was so happy to see so many people on that post saying, please leave the panelling, do not paint it. Yeah, sure, there was a couple saying, you know, oh yeah, paint it white and it'll look amazing. But all that house really needed was, you know, a change of furniture, you know, some new rugs, but leave the oak panelling. And I suppose my point here is, and you've probably heard me say this so many times, is you don't have to sterilize a place and paint everything white to bring it up to date. You need a good eye. And so some of the advice was get some professional advice to help you use the timber panelling and incorporate the timber panelling and bring the home into you know, a little bit more of our time. But you don't need to absolutely destroy it by getting rid of this oak panelling. And I think I mentioned last week that a lady that I saw, you know, she listened to her friends and she painted everything white. And I think her heart said, don't do it. But because her friends kept saying, yeah, paint it white. And then when I came in and she asked me and she said, do you think I should have painted it white? And I said, no, I can't lie. And I said, look, this is what we can do. Don't beat yourself up about it. But these are some of the things that I'd retain because she hadn't done the whole house. So, you know, keep that in mind. There's things from past generations that we can embrace and we can still bring it up to what it is today, like the oak panelling in this 60s holiday house that I'm at. The pine. You know, a lot of people would come in there and paint all that white, but it sort of adds to the character. And for me, I don't want it to be a sterile beach house. I just want it to be what it is and what it was. So, you know, be careful, because once you start painting that stuff, you cannot go back. Now, the other thing I wanted to chat about today was, look, COVID lockdown part 2, we're calling it, in Melbourne, metropolitan Melbourne, and one of the other regional areas. And look, I think it's going to be difficult. It's stricter this time. People can't go to their holiday houses. The intention is not to go to their holiday houses. And I've been reading in the press that a lot of people on the Mornington Peninsula, the locals, are really angry that people have gone down there on Wednesday before midnight when they were allowed to. But it's not really the point whether you're allowed to. It was, you know, to stop the spread in those regional areas and keep those economies going. It's going to be hard enough for them as it is, because when they're not going to have people from Melbourne travelling to these areas. Mount Hotham's closed. That's impacted people I know greatly as well. And so, look, COVID-19 lockdown. For us, for White Pebble Interiors, we are still working. The lockdown part 1, Mark 1, whatever you want to call it, we pivoted some of our services. We've been servicing clients all over Australia for quite a few years now. We provide beautiful sample boxes that are sent out. We do videos of our specifications. So it was something that we were already doing. So we had the infrastructure and the processes in place for us to be able to serve our clients remotely anyway. What it has done is people that we could normally service locally, we can then instigate those remote processes for our local clients. And, you know, there is that option. But what the other thing was that we introduced was, you know, I introduced quite a few additional services for online, i.e. working from home, which is going to happen to us again. Homeschooling's coming back next week. You know, how to set up your office. I offer an online service for that. There's an online service for, you know, finishing off a room. Whether you've got some space, you think, what on earth am I going to do with this? The other thing is, people have been calling me recently, actually, the last few weeks especially, saying, well, we're not going on holiday, and I really don't think there are going to be any more holidays for the rest of the year. Not to interstate areas anyway. So they're saying, well, this is my holiday money. I want to do something nice with my home. So I'm doing kitchen renovations. I'm doing decorating. We're invigorating new life into homes where they're going, well, look, I'm not going away now. And, well, that's my holiday money. And no matter what your holiday money is, we can do something with it. So maybe think about that. We can still serve you. We can still drop off samples to your door or send samples out to you, you know, rug samples and things like that. We can still show you hard material specifications. If you are, for example, doing a kitchen renovation, we've got clients all over Australia in really remote places like Scotland Island, which is a lot of people don't know, and I didn't know either, but that's a really tiny remote little island in north of Sydney, sort of in the middle part of New South Wales. So it's possible. So if you're not going away, think about how you might want to use that money to do something with your house, because you're going to be there now for at least another 6 weeks, and I really don't think the restrictions are going to be lifted as quickly as what they were last time, because look at the trouble we got into. So, think about that. Sanity checks are still going ahead. They've always been conducted remotely, where I can review your floor plans and see. We're doing some kitchen floor plans reviews next week because they, got hold of me a little bit later, but that's okay. You can come in at any time of the process. We can always add value at any stage of the process. Now, so yes, think about your holiday money and what you may want to do with that to invigorate some new amazing things in your home, because it's definitely possible. One more look at the view. It's so quiet. Oh, I just love it so much. So the other thing I just wanted to remind you, next Wednesday, 15th of July, is the end of the financial year sale for the online course, Your Forever Home, the 3 steps. There's been some information that's gone out with regards to why I created the course, and also some questions that people have been asking me around the course and how do they know it's still applicable for them if they're renovating or they're partway through their renovation. So, the email that went out, if you're on the list, you would have received that. There'll be some more information that goes out next week. So anyone thinking of building or renovating, it's definitely going to allow you to avoid a lot of mistakes. And I think that's the thing that people are really talking to me about now, is I just don't want to make these mistakes, and by goodness me, they are expensive. So I suppose, today was, I'm on holiday. So, yes, I thought about talking about a whole lot of different things, as I always do, but I am on holiday, and I'm still here, just in a different location. And I have to say, it's a far nicer location than, it's a bit better out there, isn't it? Far nicer location than where I normally am in my office. I miss my dog terribly. It's just incredible how much I miss my dog. But look, if anyone's got any questions, I'm not on Facebook today. I wasn't going to bring my computer, my laptop down to the beach, and my mobile phone on its little stick. So I don't have this on Facebook. It's exclusively on Instagram today, so feel special. But has anyone got any questions? Because I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you've got, things that are going on for you this week. Questions about, dealing with us remotely. Something that came up a lot in all the groups this week is, people are constantly posting their floor plans on groups saying, have a look at it. I just find that so dangerous. I think, like I was saying last week, you can get all the advice from your friends, and they're all going to have opinions. Everyone's got an opinion, but it's whether that opinion is experienced and validated as to whether whether that's going to ring true. Maria has said, I love the podcast with Amy and Kirsty, The Art of Decluttering. Have been listening to your podcast this week. Love all your valuable information. Hope to one day be in my forever home. Oh, that's fantastic. And I just love the term forever home, which is why I've trademarked it. It's such a lovely term of phrase for a home that you're going to be in for such a long time. So that's awesome news, Maria. I'm so glad that you've enjoyed the Art of Decluttering podcast with Amy and Kirsty. That was really great fun doing that. And there'll be, I'm sure that we'll do some, I'm definitely going to have them on the podcast as well once we finish the kitchen design essentials. We'll definitely have them on. So if we don't have any more questions, I've left my kids with my mum in the home. They're getting ready, because I've told them that with this, the tide's out. Every time we come out, because we sort of have very lazy mornings, get up and leave about 11, that the tide's out. There's lots of rock pools, and my kids are crazy. All they want to do is just go to the beach, rain, hail or shine. We're very, very lucky to live down the beach, but we probably don't go there enough, although we do take the dog down there a lot. I've sort of got to embrace more about I'm embracing more of our local resources now that we've got a dog. Carolyn, just listened to you and Jeremy in the podcast, made me think about corner cupboard options. Well, Carolyn, you've got both of us on your team. Yeah, corner cupboards. You know, sometimes there isn't really an alternative. Sometimes they can't. We often use corner cupboards, particularly around a bench. If it's a U-shaped kitchen, we'll use a corner cupboard. We'll just have a drawer or just a normal cupboard, and then around the back we can access it from the other side. But we can't actually do that with your design, Carolyn, because it goes to the outside. But look, I've still got a corner cupboard in my pantry. My kitchen, or in my pantry. So, you know, it's not to say that they're terrible. You just have to make sure that you can avoid them as much as possible, in terms of don't have too many. I think if you've got one corner cupboard in your kitchen, it's not the end of the world. And look, for me, I put in my corner cupboard all my takeaway containers and things like that I access very rarely. I put, dare I say it, because Kirsty and Amy from the Art of Decluttering would be very cross with me, having appliances that I very rarely use still in my cupboard. But I put those in there as well, or things that I'm going to access just for Christmas. We do a massive party on New Year's Eve, and so all those plates, because we don't use plastic plates, I use ones that we reuse. And I put all those things in those corner cupboards, because if you only have to access it once a year or twice a year, it's great storage. And corner cupboards are just not things that you want to access on a regular basis. So don't be perturbed, Carolyn, that you've got a corner cupboard, one corner cupboard in your, your kitchen design. It means that everything else is maximised in terms of drawers, and in terms of other things that you've got in your kitchen. So that one corner cupboard is not the end of the world. Really, it's not. And they are very useful, as long as you don't have to access them all the time. And I think that's the key point. I would definitely not like to have a corner cupboard in a kitchen design, and we don't do it in our designs, where it's the main focus, and you need to be able to access that cupboard all the time as part of your daily kitchen preparation and so forth. So don't worry, Carolyn, it's all good. But thank you for tuning in, and thank you to everyone else for tuning in. And I think Carolyn just sort of reminded me that the podcast that released on Wednesday was an interview with a builder, Jeremy. Carolyn just happens to be really lucky. She's got him and I on her team. I think that's lucky. And Jeremy is a builder. He's a passive house registered builder, which is just music to my ears. We actually work together quite a lot. I think because we have the same philosophy around design and around getting the most out of things. And so we work together early on in a project. And so I invited him onto the podcast, and he gave some great insight from a builder's perspective on what some of the key mistakes that people make when they're designing their kitchen. And so the builder will come in, and if they come in too late, the things that he's highlighted are things that people just have not even thought about or considered. And he really believes in, and I said to him I should steal this, but he believes that you can actually undercapitalize and have a really bad kitchen, and that is because you're not using the floor plan to its best. And I suppose that's when a lot of people are designing kitchens themselves, not understanding the internals that are available, all the sorts of things that you can do. And that's dangerous territory. So people are so worried about overcapitalizing, but undercapitalizing is really a thing, and that you go to all that expense and actually you end up with a substandard kitchen because the design is so bad. So Jeremy and I are so passionate about good functional design, and I suppose some designers focus very much on the aesthetic, where we are so passionate about functionality and durability. So I always say that if design is not working for you, it's a complete waste of time. It's a complete waste of money. So anyway, that's a really interesting podcast. The Builder's Insight, I've called it. And Jeremy's fabulous, and we do work together a lot, so that's why I was really happy to have him on the podcast. So oh my, have I talked about so many things that I didn't think I was going to talk about today. I've always been a talker. I suppose I should stop doing these sorts of, I go off on tangents. Someone else, another interior designer, has said here, functionality is my passion. Absolutely. That's awesome to hear, because it really is. It is the key. And I just find that so many people get so wound up in so focused and fixated on their finishes that all the other stuff just becomes left. And for me, you've got to start with the design before you even, I mean, we do it concurrently. We are managing the material specifications and the joinery design concurrently. So, it can all be done at the same time. Carolyn, she's enjoying the kitchen podcast. Awesome. We've applied all those things to you, so that's good news. So I am going to leave now. I'm going to go and pick up my children, and I'm going to go and take them down here, and we're going to walk down to Red Rocks, which is another there's just endless on Phillip Island. People only know it for the koalas and the koala sanctuary, which is fantastic, and the penguins, God, and the knobbies, and there's just so much down here, so many walks, and any beach. You just go to any end of the street and you get to a beach, and it's just spectacular. So I'll just have a look at this. It just goes on and on and on, and then when I go this way, I mean, it's just never ending. It's just awesome. And to watch all the surfers down at Cape Woolamai yesterday was just fantastic too. So yeah, it's been great. Thanks, Carolyn. I have really enjoyed my downtime. I wish I could actually work down here, and I probably could because we're already down here. I've got my computer here. My fabulous team and I are already working remotely, but I've got no broadband, so I have to go home. So anyway, I'm back in the office, back in my home office next week. And for those of you who are my clients, we'll definitely be in touch, and have a lovely weekend. I think the weather's going to turn, but I will be here again 10 o'clock next Friday. Thanks so much, everyone. Bye.